Have you ever faced a moment when everything seemed hopeless? When challenges pile up and hope starts to fade? Sometimes, we wonder if God is really listening to our prayers, if He still cares about us. That was exactly Clara's situation. Clara had always been a woman of faith. Since childhood, she believed that God guided her steps and that everything happened for a reason. But life, relentless as it is, tested her faith in the cruelest way. Her husband, her greatest companion and best friend, passed away unexpectedly, leaving her alone with a mountain of bills and unbearable emptiness in her heart. The debt started piling up. Without a steady job, she was on the verge of losing the home they had built together. She tried everything, looked for work, asked friends for help, prayed with desperation. But day after day, nothing changed. And then came the doubt. Has God forgotten about me? That morning, Clara woke up feeling more lost than ever. She wandered through the city, searching for some kind of meaning in all of it. People rushed past her, indifferent to her pain. The cold wind brushed against her face, but what truly hurt was God's silence. Sitting on a park bench, staring into the distance, she whispered a prayer unlike any other. If you really exist, then show me a sign. Because I don't know what else to do. Clara remained seated on the bench for a few minutes, staring at the ground. The city moved at its usual pace, but inside her, everything felt stagnant. The weight of uncertainty was unbearable. She wanted to believe her prayer had been heard, but part of her heart no longer had the strength to hope for a miracle. A gentle breeze blew, rustling her hair and carrying the sweet aroma of freshly baked bread from a nearby bakery. Her eyes welled up with tears, but she held them back. Crying wouldn't change anything. That's when she noticed someone approaching. An elderly woman, modest in appearance with a calm expression, sat beside her. She wore a simple dress and a blue scarf covering her gray hair. Her eyes were kind, but there was something more, something deep, as if she could see beyond what was visible. Clara said nothing. She didn't want to talk, didn't want to explain her pain. But it was the woman who broke the silence. You look tired, my dear. Clara lifted her eyes, surprised. There was warmth in the woman's voice, a gentleness she hadn't felt in a long time. I'm just trying to understand some things, she replied hesitantly. The woman nodded slowly, gazing up at the sky as if lost in thought. Then, she turned back to Clara. Sometimes, when everything seems lost, we are actually closer to finding our way. A shiver ran down Clara's spine. Who was this woman? How could she say exactly what Clara needed to hear? The woman then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small folded piece of paper. With great care, she handed it to Clara. Go to this address. There, you will find what you're looking for. Clara took the paper, hesitant. Her heart started pounding. When she looked up to ask a question, the woman was already walking away. Clara glanced down at the paper in her hands. Just an address. Nothing else. Her first instinct was to ignore it. After all, what sense did it make to follow the words of a stranger? But deep down, something inside her whispered that this moment was no coincidence. She had to find out what was waiting for her at that place. Clara stood there for a few minutes, holding the small piece of paper in her hands. The address was in a neighborhood she was familiar with, but she couldn't remember what was there. Her heart pounded harder, as if she was standing at a crossroads more significant than she realized. She could simply ignore the encounter and go on with her life as if nothing had happened. But what if this was really a sign? Without overthinking, she decided to go. The walk was quiet. Each step felt heavy with uncertainty, but also with hope. The sun was beginning to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The cool evening breeze brushed against her face, almost as if gently pushing her forward. When she arrived at the address, she found a small restaurant with a simple but well-kept facade. The aroma of fresh food mixed with the crisp night air. People came and went, some smiling, others chatting with the staff. Clara took a deep breath before stepping inside. As soon as she walked through the door, she was greeted by a middle-aged man with a warm smile and kind eyes. He wore an apron and seemed to be the owner of the place. "Welcome. How can I help you?" Clara hesitated. How could she explain that a complete stranger had given her this address without any explanation? Saying it out loud would sound ridiculous. Still, she pulled out the piece of paper and showed it to the man. "I received this address from a lady at the park today. She told me I'd find what I was looking for here." The man looked at the paper, and for a moment, his smile faded, replaced by an expression of surprise. "You have no idea how long we've been waiting for you." Clara's eyes widened. Waiting for her? What did that even mean? What was happening here? A shiver ran down Clara's spine. What did he mean they had been waiting for her? It didn't make sense. She didn't know this man, let alone this restaurant. "There must be some mistake," she said hesitantly. "I didn't even know this place existed." The man, still holding the piece of paper, gave her a small smile and gestured for her to follow him. "Come with me. I think I can explain." Clara hesitated for a moment, but something inside her urged her to move forward. The man led her to a small table at the back of the restaurant, where a brown envelope rested on the wooden surface. He picked it up and handed it to her. "Open it." Her fingers trembled slightly as she ran them over the paper. Carefully, she unfolded the envelope and pulled out a résumé. Her name was printed at the top, along with all her work experience and personal details. Clara's breath caught in her throat. How did this get here? The man sat across from her, clasping his hands together on the table. "A few days ago, we received this résumé. No cover letter, no email contact. Just this, inside the envelope. We've been trying to figure out who this person was." She stared at the document in disbelief. She had sent out several resumes over the past few months, but never to this restaurant. I never brought this here," she whispered. The man nodded calmly. "But someone did. And now that you're here, I think the job is yours, if you want it." Tears welled up in Clara's eyes. Her heart pounded, and her mind raced to find a logical explanation for what was happening. Was it just a coincidence? Or was it a miracle? Clara stared at the résumé in her hands, her heart pounding. How was this possible? Someone had brought her document to this place without her knowing. But who? And why? She lifted her eyes to the man sitting across from her. He watched her with a calm smile, as if he already knew exactly what she was thinking. "I understand that this seems strange," he said. "But the truth is, somehow, you were meant to be here." Clara took a deep breath. Her first instinct was to question it, to try and find a logical explanation for everything. But then she remembered the elderly woman at the park, how she had appeared out of nowhere and handed her the piece of paper with this very address. Was it just a coincidence? Or was it a sign? She looked around. The restaurant wasn't fancy, but it had a warm, welcoming atmosphere. The staff greeted customers with genuine smiles, the air was filled with the comforting aroma of freshly cooked food, and the soft hum of conversations blended with the gentle instrumental music playing in the background. The feeling that washed over her at that moment was unlike anything she had experienced in months. For the first time, there was no desperation. There was peace. The man leaned forward slightly, waiting for her response. "Clara, if you want this opportunity, the job is yours." She couldn't explain what happened next. The words left her lips before she even had time to think about them. "I accept." The man's smile widened, as if he had known all along that she would say yes. "Wonderful. Welcome to the team." Clara gripped the résumé tightly, feeling the weight of months of uncertainty begin to lift. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of something much greater. In the days that followed, Clara started working at the restaurant. With each new morning, she felt something inside her shifting. The pain she carried in her heart was still there, but now she had a purpose, something to fight for. The restaurant's customers were mostly humble people, some facing struggles similar to hers. Talking to them made Clara realize that, despite her pain, she still had the strength to move forward. But one question remained in her mind. Who had brought her résumé to the restaurant? And, more importantly, who was that woman from the park? One evening, after her shift, Clara decided to return to the park. She needed to thank the woman who had given her that address. She wanted to understand how the lady had known that her answer was waiting for her at the restaurant. When she arrived, she sat on the same bench where they had met. She looked around, watching the people passing by, but there was no sign of the woman with the blue scarf. After waiting for a while, she decided to ask one of the street vendors nearby. "Excuse me, sir. Have you seen an elderly woman with gray hair and a blue scarf? She was here a few days ago." The man frowned, thinking for a moment. "A blue scarf? I don't recall anyone like that. I'm here every day. I know almost everyone who comes through this park." A chill ran down Clara's spine. "Are you sure?" "She sat right here, talked to me." The vendor shook his head. "Listen, miss, if she were around often, I'd remember. But I've never seen anyone like that." Clara's heart began to race. She asked other vendors, as well as a few people who seemed to be regulars at the park. The answer was always the same: no one had ever seen that woman. She sat back down on the bench, a lump forming in her throat. Who was that lady? And, more importantly, had she ever really been there? Clara remained seated on the park bench, feeling the cool breeze gently brush against her face. Her heart was racing, but it wasn't fear she felt. It was something else, something she couldn't quite explain. Had that woman really existed? Or had she been an angel in disguise? The memory of their encounter played vividly in her mind. The woman's calm gaze, her precise words, the way she handed Clara that piece of paper as if she knew exactly what she needed. For a moment, Clara closed her eyes and took a deep breath. For months, she had felt alone, without answers, without hope. But looking back at everything that had happened, she realized that, even when she didn't notice, someone had been by her side all along. The prayers she thought had gone unheard were actually being answered in ways she never could have imagined. A soft smile formed on her lips. God had never abandoned her. She had simply needed to learn how to see the miracles. With a lighter heart, Clara stood up and began walking home. This time, there was no sadness in her steps. There was faith. In the days that followed, Clara began to see life through different eyes. Small details that once seemed insignificant now held a new meaning. The smiles she received at the restaurant, the kind gestures from strangers, even the simple act of waking up each morning, everything felt like a silent answer from God, reminding her that He had always been there. She never found out who had brought her résumé to the restaurant. She never saw the woman with the blue scarf again. But deep down, she realized she no longer needed those answers. The real miracle wasn't just getting a job or keeping her home. The real miracle was rediscovering the faith she thought she had lost. And in that moment, Clara understood something that would change her life forever. Miracles don't always happen the way we expect, but they always happen. Now, let me ask you, do you believe in miracles? Have you ever experienced a moment when you felt God was by your side, even when everything seemed lost? Share your story in the comments. Your experience might inspire and strengthen someone who needs a word of faith today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and if this message touched your heart, like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And never forget, God always has a plan. God bless you, and see you in the next video.